Hello, my name is Deidre Freeman, and I'm here with Tara C., and we're here to talk about our trip to Ethiopia, a mission trip that we took in October of this year. We were afforded this opportunity because of a person that I used to work with, a Dr. Thomas Kessler, who offered us the opportunity to go and serve medically in the region of Moyale, Ethiopia. So we're just going to talk a little bit about our trip. We're starting with the beginning, and we'll be looking at some pictures and talking about that.
Hi, this is Tara C., and I accompanied Deidre Freeman on the trip to Ethiopia. We went with Global Health Organization, and it was just a tremendous blessing to travel, to see something different, to see how people live. We were able to provide some medical support and touch the lives of some people and be touched by the lives of some people. So we're looking forward to sharing this and our journey with you all.
We arrived in Addis Ababa about 10 o'clock at night and made our way to the first hotel, which you see on the picture here. And we're well taken care of. Got a good night's sleep. I woke the next morning to be welcomed with fresh juice from the area before we started our long journey to Moyale. You can see the environment is just beautiful. Flowers that we plant and use in our homes grow in the wild there in Africa. That's the bus we spent lots of hours on, and now you're looking at a picture of the next town that we stayed in, Hawassa, on our journey to Moyale.
This is some continuation of some of the foliage and the things that we found to be very beautiful as we traveled. Probably the first... it was a 2-day journey for us to get to the area that we were going to serve, but we were just fascinated about the foliage and the things that we struggled to grow in some areas that was plentiful pretty much around Addis. Now you see the camels, something that we have to go to the zoo. We saw plentifully on the roads, up in some of the plains, and was not difficult. That's Yabella, one of the last areas that we got to before our longest probably stretch of the ride. And there's some of us getting just refreshed and stretched and taking bathroom breaks before we got back on the bus. These are just some of the scenes of people in various villages that we saw as we traveled. This looks like one of the outhouses that people used, and looks like a furnace. Yep, that was close. Now we're at the actual clinic that we served, and we saw many people, many children, and I'm going to let Deidre share from here.
So this is the outpatient clinic outside the door where we saw patients. The young lady standing there stretching was one of the dentists that served with us. And again, like Tara said, there were many, many people that were seen, mothers and children. The group that we went with consisted of nurses, doctors, pharmacists, and specialists that helped in whatever areas we needed. Unlike here in the States, there was very little to assist in the care of the patients there. So you really were using your hands and eyes and ears to care for people. I think you're looking at the lab now in the clinic that was used to do some of the pathology needed to come up with some of the diagnosis that we saw. like Tara said, it wasn't just helping the people that we saw there. It was a great learning experience for us. And we gained much more, I think, than we actually gave while we were on the trip. This is one of our lunch breaks. We ate peanut butter and jelly and peanut butter and jelly for lunch, which we were very grateful for. I'm laughing, but we really were grateful for that.
You see just a vast amount of people, but very beautiful people, and people that, like us, were concerned about their own health care and tremendously concerned about the care of their children. The children, as you see, are just beautiful. They are like children from anywhere. They enjoy living, laughing, running, teasing, and we got it all. For what we could say, what we could not say, they were very engaging people, and it was just a tremendous blessing to serve. We saw different evidence of the state's influence in some of the health care and some of the prevention, but never enough as we felt. It's just never enough. We couldn't do enough, and our hearts just felt for the daily experiences that they have. One of the things that I think we noticed, though, is that they did not struggle with some of our common issues, which were hypertension, diabetes, because they did not have some of the excess that leads to some of the diseases that we deal with. And this is one of the workers that actually worked at the clinic and did some of the interpreting for us. This is a hotel we stayed at in Moyale, and we were grateful to have the amenities that we did have. These are some of the people that interpreted with us and stood by also to share the love of Christ. This is the latrine. And we learned how to use very good squatting skills there, strong legs. Some more children, and they hung around after school and would come and hang at the pharmacy or wherever people were that would interact with them. And we had just a good time with them. This is one of the donkeys that got kind of close to the clinic, and he just belonged there. This team was a team that is partnered with global health organizations to help with the continuation of the gospel there, and they had already come in and done some things to help with the nutritional issues and the economic issues of this tribal area. These people were called pastors, which were people that we would probably see more as migrant workers, but they were trying to become more established in their areas, and to do so they would have to have sources of income. So there's a partnership with Campus Crusade. They have a partnership there where they were sending individuals to help establish the gospel, but also to help people be able to take care of themselves. And you see some of the areas now were actually at the village where the people lived. These are some of the structures that this is the housing, different huts that they constructed. In fact, we saw one going up from the time that we left, came in the time that we left, that had made much progress. These are some other pictures and structural and children.
More pictures. One of the things that was touching about this community was that they really were what I considered a community. And they lived and cared for each other with what they had. And that crossed religions. So we saw people who believed very differently, but were still able to reach out and care for each other. This is a back view of the clinic, and as you can see, we saw people with all sorts of diseases. Some of the things that we could do something about, and there were some things that we could do nothing about. But the one thing that we could do was point them to the person who could handle any problem. And these were the kids that would look in the window as we ate lunch, teasing, as children would tease. And this is just the setup of the dental clinic to show you what they were actually working with. And some of the people that assisted us with interpretation, such as this gentleman, also were able to be helped by some of the services that we rendered. This was another dentist that accompanied us on our trip. Oh, and this is just a little boy that the pharmacy students were interacting with, and you can see he has a UT hat on. We all love the children, love to play with them, love to interact with them. Again, mothers and children, and they loved having their pictures taken. And this is just a picture, again, of the environment. That looks like a camel. I really can't see it close up. This was outside the room that we stayed in Moyali. There was a goat market, and they would bring the goats in early in the morning. And so this was the little market right outside the hotel window. This was, I think, Sunday when we were going to church. And it was just refreshing to see how free the people were in their worship and praise. This is a group of children who are looking at the picture that Tara took of them. And this is the praise team, much like our praise team here, singing. And as you can see, the people are worshiping, praising God in worship. They sing to the top of their lungs. You don't have to ask them to sing out. They just do it. This is one of the partners. I believe he's a leader who is preaching on Sunday morning. This is a young man that's just about 27 years old, I believe, that has a lot of responsibility. And for our culture, seems mature beyond his age and handling it very well. And this is just on the walk. This was one of the few times we were able to get outside of the compound and walk to church. So these were just some pictures that were taken on the way back to the compound that we stayed in. This was outside our hotel. And again, this is just some more scenery taken along the road, another grass hut where the people lived. I believe these are pictures taken on the home visits. After we got back from church, we changed our clothes and went to the community that we were serving and actually did home visits. So you can see some of the areas where they are actually planting the crops and see actually how they live. This is right. These are the signs leading to the different areas in the village. And this was our team, our community partners there in Ethiopia, planning how we were going to divide and split the home visits. We divided into two groups, and one group went to one part of the village and the other group went to another part of the village. And as we came to the houses, it felt like we treated as many people on the home visits as we did in the clinic, because the people were very free in telling the things that were bothering them, and very open about sharing what was going on in their lives. And this was an interpreter assisting with one of the clients that we saw. And this is one of the animals live right in the home with the people. And that was just a picture of the animal in the home.
Again, you can see we like the kids because there are more pictures of children probably here than anyone else. But they were very free. If they could have taught us how to speak the language, they would have. The village was Tuka, and just want to mention that by name. And they were, as Deidre said, people of a mixed religion, but they did come together for the benefit of their community, and they cared for each other, young and old, participated in doing what was good for each other. This is some of the continued scenery. This is a banana plantation that we walked through and took a look at. That this is one of the things that they're doing for resources for nutrition and for income. And that's as we were leaving the village. More pictures of this is, as they call cabbage, we call collards. This is one of the pharmacists, and we gave medication preventative for many things. We had came up on a couple of termite mounds, and I don't know if we've shown those yet. Is that the banana? Yeah, that's banana plant. We saw avocado, we saw papaya plants, and things that just don't take a lot of water. Those are the things that they were growing, and the largest crop there would be coffee. And they did have a coffee plantation off-site, not close to the area where we were. That's one of the pharmacy students, Lucy. They were most helpful. It's the first time that I had an opportunity in a health setting to work that close with pharmacists, and it kept us out of trouble. It helped speed the process along for treatment, and it was just a joy to partner with people that had like interest and like passion. A beautiful sunset as we made our way back in.
That's a picture of upside down glasses.
Oh. We were able to with some assistance. This is one of the person that worked as a navigator, and he worked in the clinic. His wife was one of the pharmacists, and they provided reading glasses that were able to get through because we had some held up by customs, but we were able to provide some reading glasses. These are more children, and they came to play, and they came to have their pictures taken. Not bashful at all with the camera. Deidre was able to assist in a delivery, and this is how they weighed the baby. So we can see the scales put to good use. I think this is administrator of the facility. This is a part of a coffee service that the people had for us before leaving. And one of the coffee ceremonies is something special that they engage in. They also took some time, and you can see some beautiful like pottery and kettles and things that they use. And they also provided 2 meals for us as an expression of gratitude. And we're talking about people with meager means, but they served goat and the potatoes and things that they had and they made it available to us. And we were most appreciative. This is one of the other young ladies that works at the clinic, but she assisted us while we did the things that needed to be done. That was one of the dentists, Bill Atkins. One of the, another dentist. They were busy. This was our leader, and he was a physician. That's the pastor of the village. That was assisting also as an interpreter. This is part of the compound that we stayed on when we were in Moyale. This is more pictures of that compound. Had several different areas that you ate outside, and day or night you would have people out, and they did not mind the darkness. We'd be going to look for places to sit for light, and that people would just gather where they could. There's probably some of us coming back from one of our clinic days, just getting off the bus. This is the gas station. Not too far from where we stayed. We just began taking pictures as we drove by and seeing different structures. Some of them we never figured out what they were for, but it was interesting. What you see, I guess, are donkeys, and these are some of the things that would delay our trip. I think it was 500-kilometer ride from Addis to Moyale was a 2-day journey, not just because of the road conditions, but you would just be stopped abruptly by cattle and goat, and so we went along with the ride. Oh yeah, that's a termite mound.
Again, you see moms with babies. I believe this is getting toward the end of the trip and probably our last day in the clinic. Some of the places that you're seeing now are what they call downtown, and we would ride past them each day as we rode into the clinic. We saw a lot of motorcycles, and we learned that there were people that had donated the motorcycles for transportation on other trips. More moms and babies, and this is another pharmacy student that was there with us. And again, like Tara said, they were very helpful. and assisting, keeping us out of trouble. And the tank that you see here is one of their sources of water collection. It was very dry while we were there. So they actually collect water in this tank or deliver water to this tank and use it as needed. And again, here are some of our partners and people that helped with interpretation in the clinic and in what other ways they were needed, crowd control. Here's one of the workers preparing for the coffee ceremony that Tara talked about earlier. These are actually the coffee beans roasting. This was the pharmacist, and that is the pharmacy that was used. And this is the last day in the clinic. We were not quite as busy in the afternoon, and you can see how we had to wash our hands there. And this is the actual ceremony of blessing that they had right before we were leaving to start our trip back home. This was their way of saying thank you and for showing how grateful they were to us for offering our services. It was heartwarming to see how grateful the people were, and to know that in some way you assisted in touching someone's life. It was also life-changing for us. And again, we probably were touched as much or more as the people that we served. This was a little boy who was hanging around during the blessing ceremony who continually said, "Take me, take me." They did know some English. So I took several pictures of him because he kept saying, "Take me." Again, this is our leader who you see kind of stooped down, Don Thompson, who is receiving the blessing and also gave a blessing to the people. More children. And here we are as we're getting on the bus, saying our goodbyes as we drove off. Riding through the town, taking the last pictures we would be able to take. As you can see, just like here in America, people put their individuality into decorating their homes and painting their homes. The ground was very, very dry, but the soil is amazingly rich. So when you think things should look dried up, the foliage on the plants and the flowers are very vibrant. Again, this is in Yabelo. It was a town that we reached traveling from Moyale and spent the night before we started the rest of our journey home. That was a restaurant across the street that we just snapped a picture of. And this day, there had been tons of rain on our trip toward this place. Something that we had prayed for earlier. They got tons of rain. And this is cattle that's stopping our progress. One of the things that was amazing to see was how large the plants grow there. Things that we use and think of as small potted plants, such as poinsettias, are as large as the homes are there. And all along the way home, as we were heading back toward Addis, you could see people washing. They collected water in basins, and they were washing clothes. When we passed the rivers, such as this one right here, they were washing trucks like you can see over there on the right. They were washing their bodies. Just so grateful for the water. And this is a picture of the poinsettias that I was speaking of earlier. And this one too. I think these are cannas. They were just beautiful, brilliant. More water, something we did not see much of on our trip down. And I think that's a picture, people washing their trucks. And you can't see the very back, but people are actually bathing. If you could blow the picture up and see it in the back in the water. And these are just pictures of scenes as we traveled along. These were bananas that we stopped alongside the road and got a huge bunch of bananas. And I think we paid 75 cents for this long stalk of bananas. And now we're about to approach the city, I believe, of Addis. Very large city. This was a hospital right outside the city. And I think we were really trying to capture the tanks on top of the houses here. You can see that water is an issue everywhere. So they collect the water anywhere they can, any way they can. But it was amazing to see technology is everywhere. Even in the small village of Tuka that we were in, we would see satellites every now and then on top of the places where the people lived. So they may not have running water, but there were satellites there. We're approaching the end here. You can probably tell by the buildings that we are in the city, and shortly we'll be at the airport, beginning our long trip back home. This is one of the mosques, I believe. And the mosques are beautiful everywhere, even in the villages where the people don't have much. They really sacrifice. So in conclusion, I want to say that I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to be used of God, to serve in a way that I never imagined I would be able to serve. I think God has a sense of humor because I have a son that's in college and have said that I was not going to take any vacations until he finished college because I just couldn't afford it. And then this opportunity pops up so that I was able to go somewhere where I had not even imagined to go. But I'm just grateful for the opportunity to have served, and will eternally be grateful to Dr. Kessler, who afforded us the opportunity.
I'm grateful that I was able to see the needs in a very different perspective from another country. And it also helped me become sensitive to the fact of what's in my back door, what's right in front of me, and how we don't really have to go across the water to be mission-minded. God calls us to do so wherever we are. But there's nothing like seeing the level of appreciation for people who have very little. And so it has made me more sensitive to the things and the resources that I have. And I'm grateful that I could go, but I'm very grateful that I could go with Deidre, because she is my friend, and we help keep each other in check. And it was, again, I was blessed, I think, much more than I was a blessing.